How do you avoid having to do chores with your wife? Like my wife right now is doing a deep clean and the boys are helping. And how did I get out of it? Well, I have tank maintenance to do. So my cleaning involves right here. So right now, I am doing some deep maintenance, cleaning the pumps. They are actually soaked in citric acid. So this is actually a perfect time to, kind of scrape all of these areas where the pumps have been and you haven't been able to move them. And I do half. So today I'm gonna do half of the pumps, which is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 that are on this side. And then tomorrow I will do the other 4, which are pretty much in the same area. So 1, the Gyra 2, the Nero 5, 3, and another wave pump 4. But the reason I was saying that you definitely need to clean them, because it's been 6 months since I've actually cleaned any of the bigger ones and 3 months since I've cleaned the gyros. I found that having to clean the gyros every 3 months is where you actually need to be at. If not, you'll start seeing a big difference in power. In other words, no power from them. And as you can see right here, so you could tell that right now the only pump that's on is really that one and that one down there. I had to turn off the Nero and the gyro because they're connected, together through the controller. So since I turned the other one off to soak it, then I had to turn it off. But you can see just those two, the water gets pushed out to not even, just about half, actually about half, because you'll see these move. But they're not even moving as much as they normally move when they're first cleaned up. And I'll show you how that is here shortly. Then you start seeing here that there's barely any movement. And then you get to these ganies where there's no movement at all. And so once these pumps are dirty, they no longer, and let me tell you, they're at 100%. I had to actually, through time, knowing that little by little they were becoming less and less powerful, I eventually ended up moving them to 100%. And so that's another thing, that the reality is that the percentage that I had them, which was 60 to 80, they weren't enough towards the last maybe month or two of the 6-month period that I go without cleaning them. And so you can start seeing it by the flow on the SPS. You barely see any flow. You barely see any flow on any of these. And I'm sorry for the quality, but I figured I'd pick up the phone real quick to show y'all. Here's the torches that are not moving at all. So you could see some of the dust, or whatever you want to call it, the particulates in the water that are moving, but I think that's mainly because of the fish swimming by, and also because maybe they don't need that much power for them to be pushed. But you can barely see some of these moving. And so I'm gonna finish cleaning this off, and most likely it'll be until tomorrow, but through the magic of YouTube you'll see this here momentarily. All right, stay tuned. It's a bit darker now since it's getting down to the late evening, but I did want to show how powerful these gyros are. So I was able to connect the gyros finally, and as you can see now all these torches moving, but this is not the powerful part because of course it's right under it. But earlier I showed you this hammer, how it wasn't moving at all, and now look at it. Look how much movement it has, and it sways that way. So it just goes to show, and this is maybe like 4 feet across already. I wouldn't doubt that it has something to do with how much more these are moving, but of course it's working in conjunction with that gyro over there. So 2 gyros over here create a lot of movement. I haven't turned, actually I'm lying, these are on. So maybe I should actually turn these off so I can show you. Both of the Apex wave makers are turned off now, and as you can see there's still quite a bit of movement. There is a little bit less over here because it was pushing a bit more, but still it goes to show that the gyros really do some water movement. I'm not seeing too much movement on these milliporas here. So of course it's not going to be the only pump that I have. I'll have all the other ones on. I'm debating on putting another of the Apex pair because I feel like the more these corals grow, the more they need. But the trouble that I'm having is where I try to create movement for all the SPS up top, I can't avoid but create this much movement for these hammers. And as you can see, it kind of almost, you know, a little bit too much more, and this flesh will probably, you know, rip off. So I have to be careful. All right, so it's the next day. And then I remembered, Dennis, you have grown kids.
That's crazy.
Why are you the one cleaning pumps? They want PlayStation time. They want gym time. They want to have some freedom. So, what happened, Eric?
the pumps.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Try my best.
So, he's helping me. He's always the best helper when it comes to the aquarium.
Yep, that's true.
And to end this video here, you know, just look at this. I promise you, I probably should have done it before these pumps were clean on this side, but they were nowhere near flowing as much as they are here. This, for some reason, deflated. That one, I mean, after the dip, now the tentacles are out, and I'm hoping that in the long term it recovers. Pump maintenance is definitely very important. I cannot say it enough. These corals need flow. Some people argue that flow is sometimes more important than light. Honestly, it's hard to say, because sometimes when you talk about light, you're like, oh, light is important, flow is important. You know, I think they all are on the same level of importance, and you can't really, you have to have both. You can't have just one, right? So at the end of the day, flow is as important as light. In this case, we're talking about flow. We're talking about how many pumps. I decided to put this pump right here instead of back there, and then that pump facing a little bit up towards the top, which kind of hits that coral, which I need to trim it back, because if you notice, there's a coral right there that's starting to be shaded by it. So I'm gonna have some frags here soon of that blue staghorn right there. But again, I keep saying I'm gonna leave it here, and I keep talking. That's what this video was about, is just, you know, pump maintenance, very easy. The fact that, you know, these, I didn't want to disconnect them all the way. I just bring up a little table with citric acid in that bucket. I let it sit in that bucket for a good 2.5 hours, and then we went out to eat. We came back, and they were ready for us to start scraping them and, you know, removing all the stuff from them. That should last us for another 3 to 6 months, and then we'll be back to this pain in the behind of cleaning pumps again. Actually, you know what? I have to do the return pump. I do have to do the return pump. I did the skimmer, and the skimmer I think still looks good. It's still pulling out good skim, so I'm not going to worry about the skimmer. But I know the return pump has been making some noise, and to be honest, I need to start looking into cleaning it and replacing it with this Octo Varios 10, which is their new pump that is comparable to one of the smaller size Abyss, one of the smaller size Royal exclusives. And I've always liked Reef Octopus, so I figured I'd give this one a chance, since really for the money, it's more affordable for me than the other pumps were. So I pulled the trigger on this one. And I know there's argument of the other ones being better and wattage and so on and so forth, but I'm going to put this one to the test and definitely keep y'all posted. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I definitely appreciate it. I will catch you all on the next one.